Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Miss Halm. I'm a counselor at Central.
Okay, so we wanted to ask you questions about mental health since you've been seeing with like students or just your experience as a counselor.
And as a counselor, what are your most common mental health challenges that you see in your practice?
Anxiety.
Anxiety?
Anxiety is for sure number one. Yeah.
Like when people come here, do they normally seek help from like when they have anxiety, or do you just normally let them like stay here and like let their thoughts out?
The real answer to that is it's different for every kid. Like, what's helpful is that when I get to know a kid after a while and I know what they need more, so some kids need to just like unload and talk everything out. Like if the anxiety is based on them being just like really overwhelmed with things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's good to just kind of unload it, talk it all out, and then they tend to be better. Some kids need just like 10 minutes to sit because the school day, I mean, you guys know, in high school, it's like, it can be super overstimulating and overwhelming. And so sometimes they just need a quiet spot.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids are having a full blown panic attack and we've got to send them home. Like it just totally varies.
Do you see these students coming back in like multiple times or just once in a while?
Again, I'd say that's different for everyone, but there's like a complete, like all of it. Like there's kids I've seen once and never seen again. There's kids that come down 3 times a week. Like there's the whole range of it. Yeah.
So going off of that and just mental health in general, how can someone identify early warning signs of mental health issues?
I mean, there's so many different mental health issues, but I think the big things that I tell students and that I try to help students within school are noticing if you're like totally checked out. Like, and I mean that in 2 different ways. One, in like not doing the things you need to do, like avoiding work, avoiding taking care of yourself, that kind of stuff. Or also like literally being checked out, like in class, you're sitting there and all of a sudden you're like, well, my teacher's been talking for 15 minutes. I have no idea what's been said. So those are big ones. Being like, a lot of times it's coming from input from friends. Like, are your friends like asking how you're doing all the time and like saying that you seem different or that they're worried about you? Like I said, anxiety is the main thing we see. And so, that is like your mind is racing, your heart's racing, your breathing is quicker. You feel like you've got to get out of the room. Like those are all like physical signs. So I guess there's all kinds of signs. There's physical, there's like within your relationships, there's within like how you take care of yourself and what you need to do, all of those things.
And going on to that, how do you approach like building trust and relationship to get over the anxiety of the students?
Meaning like a relationship between me and the student?
Yeah.
The main thing is there's 2 things. One, I try to just like not judge at all and not think about like my opinion, but just really hear them out, hear where they are, and try to help with wherever they are. I think the other thing is anxiety and panic attacks are something that I dealt with in my past. So I fully understand how it feels. And I know sometimes that it's like really hard to explain. So I think it helps me to just tell a student, like, I literally know how you feel. I've been through this. Here's things you can do to help you get better. It will get better. And I think a lot of times when students hear that, that helps a lot with them trusting me. Yeah.
And along with that, knowing as you're a school counselor, normally people would go to like straight to like a therapist or therapy when they need something like that. Mm-hmm. But as like a school counselor, like what is your process for assessing a client's mental health needs? Like the students need as a counselor?
We do refer out to therapists if we feel like it's more than we can handle just within the school, because I can't do therapy at school, right? So if a student's coming in pretty often, like, and I feel like they need more than what I can provide for them, then I'll do that. The other side of that is we do have an actual screener that we use if a student is self-harming or talking about suicide, those kind of things. And then we take that, we contact the parents, we give them referrals to get help outside of school.
For that, there's a lot of students in school that aren't really comfortable coming to the counselor and opening up. So with those, like, what strategies do you recommend to those students who aren't comfortable coming out to a counselor to cope with anxiety and mental health issues in general?
I mean, that's hard because if they're not coming to me, I can't give them the strategies, right?
Yeah.
We are starting Hope Squad on our campus. I don't know if y'all been told about that yet. So, that I think is really important because that's a way that kids can see other students that they can go and talk to. And then those students come to us. A lot of the kids that I talk to about, especially when it comes to like self-harm suicide, it's coming from a friend coming to tell me that they're worried about their friend. That happens a lot. So I just encourage kids to tell someone, and then hopefully the someone that they tells an adult that can get help, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure you guys know, like if we walked through the halls and everybody had like a neon sign over their head that was like mental health scale, right? Like a ton would be like in the red and we don't know about it. And part of that is high school. Part of that is being a teenager, just figuring stuff out. But we have to hope if someone really needs help that they'll tell somebody.
So in case, like, for instance, if that person would be me or like someone I know, how can I better support a friend or family member who is struggling with their mental health? Like, what are ways that I can help them, ways to encourage them or things like that?
I think a really important thing to do is ask them that question. So don't just assume that somebody doesn't want to talk or assume that somebody doesn't. Sometimes a friend might want you to just come and do your homework at their house with them, like just to be a presence, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's really important to ask someone like, what do you need? Can we go to McDonald's together? Can I come do your homework at your house? Do you need me to just send you an encouraging text every day? Could I, but let them tell you what they need. Like when I was having a really hard time, I had some friends that were like, what do you need? And I was like, my laundry, like it's piled up and it's like an extra thing that's making me feel overwhelmed right now. And my friend Christine came over and got all my laundry and took it to her house and did it and brought it back to me. And that was like the hugest help. So I really think asking people what they need so that they know that you're there for them and that you'll do whatever. It's hard to know person to person what's going to be helpful to somebody,
Yeah. And of course, high school is a big factor of mental health issues. But like, what other lifestyle factors that are like complete in your daily life that do you think that can affect mental health in general?
Phones, video games, screens, big time.
Yeah.
Like all the basic things, like being outside, getting sunshine, exercising, even taking a walk. Think about a typical high school kid on a screen anytime you're not at school. And actually, you're on screens all day at school too. It's just a little different, right?
Yeah.
But social media, video games, constant screen input, eating a bunch of chemicals and crap, right? Probably not drinking enough water, not being outside, not getting sun, like those basic things. I don't think high school kids realize how much they really impact mental health. That stuff is big.
Mm.
Yeah. And sorry, I'm going to say one more thing. And because it's what phones have done is they've kept us from being physically with each other, because like you go home and you're FaceTiming a friend or y'all are all chatting together. But when I went home after high school, I was immediately getting in my car and going to a friend's house. We were going to Sonic. We were going to the game. We were like, together all the time. I think you guys feel like you're together because you've got this connection.
But it's through a screen.
Yeah, it's through a screen, and it truly does affect mental health.
100% too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Along with that, since along with you saying that people should go outside more, and just helping to maintain the balance between to keep their mental health in check, how do you recommend maintaining mental health during challenging life transitions, like big things that are happening?
I think all of those things that I just said, like limit your screen time, take a walk every day, go outside, have a couple of trusted friends that you connect with and talk to through whatever's going on. Have a trusted adult at school, a teacher, a counselor, somebody that you kind of fill in on what's going on. And I think, and this is something I try to tell kids all the time, but just simplify. Like, you don't need to be on your phone all the time. Like, just go sit by your mom on the couch and watch a movie together without your phone. Like, just kind of simplify things, bring the noise down, if you know what I mean. Like, that's one reason I know everybody hates that we can't wear AirPods, but I love it so much because you don't need constant noise input all the time. It really messes with your mental health.
Mm-hmm. And so we're starting an organization called Rise and Reflect. It's more like reflecting and promoting mental health upon the youth of our generation. So, like, we need advice. Like, what steps can this organization take to promote better mental health for the students in our school?
I love that. I can tell you one thing that I know Fossil did a few years ago that I thought was so cool that y'all might want to think about. They had a student group that started an Instagram page. Now, again, we're not supposed to be on our phones. But what they did was, like, every day or every other day, posted some sort of like encouraging message or like challenge, like, take a 15-minute walk today after school. Like, and they really promoted it and got a lot of the students following it. I think that would be, I've always wanted to do something like that here. I think that would be really cool. Announcements, now that we have video announcements, there's a lot that could be done with that, you know, with getting messages out or like healthy challenge stuff. Any kind of like posting things around the building. Maybe you could, Miss Pensick is the one who's leading Hope Squad. Maybe y'all could get with her to see if there was a way that those could kind of merge a little bit and kind of get this. It sounds like it's a similar message of like taking care of yourself and taking care of others. And so she might have some good ideas of how you could get that message out. I think anything to like encourage students just in their daily day-to-day, and then also letting students see that there are other students that care about mental health and are trying to promote it. Anything you can do to like be visible with that would be a help.
And on the topic of students and the school, how can someone set healthy boundaries at school, in the school environment to prevent burnout?
Biggest thing with that is not getting behind, and that's hard. Like, students that I talk to that are struggling the most have kind of dug themselves a hole with assignments and test scores and stuff like that, and then it feels too overwhelming to get caught up. So trying to stay, like, if we're talking just academically, trying to stay organized and on top of things, so that you don't get behind. But then also, like, I don't know if this is what your question is asking, but also like just staying connected with friends that you can trust and spending time with people, and letting a few people really know what's going on with you. Like, that goes a really long way in getting through the school day and not getting overwhelmed.
And since we're starting this organization, we also started this because of personal experiences. And I'm sure that as a counselor, you've like heard about, you know, your experience and you've gone through stuff as a high school student. So like, are there any particular techniques for overcoming shame, guilt, anxiety, and those stuff?
Oh gosh, I think exactly what you're talking about doing is what we need to make that happen. Like, making it more just a common thing that we talk about, and that we're, gosh, I just had a thought. I wish there was a way that y'all could almost like survey the school, like something where we could like put it out there publicly that like this many kids said that they struggle with this. Like, we're not alone here. This is like a common high school thing that we don't need to be afraid to talk about. So yeah, anything, it's about talking about it. And we try up here in the counseling office to not make it weird, like that if you told someone you were coming to the counseling office that it wouldn't be a big deal. Like we're just talking. We're just talking and like talking through stuff. And as much as we can get the students to understand that, and then to understand you're not the only one in this building of 2,500 people that struggles with this. Like we all do on some level, you know. I don't know exactly how to do that, but I trust you guys to figure out some ways to get that message out. Yeah.
For people who, for instance, don't want to come to the counselor or again, like aren't comfortable talking to other like adults, what message would you relate to them? Like even if you can't talk to them, like personally, what would you think that they could do for themselves?
Like I said, at least have a friend that you know you can trust, that you can talk to. Like you got to have somebody. And I always say, even if it's just one person, like you don't need 10 best friends, but if you've got one person that you can trust and go to, I think that's huge. Like the worst thing to do is not let somebody know how you're doing, what's really going on.
And along with that, for people who, for instance, come to you, if not like on a daily basis, just like people you see often and you know of their circumstances, what strategies do you use to help individuals stay motivated in their mental health journey?
A lot of checking in. I have a lot of kids that I'll be like, come before the end of the week, come check in and let me know how the week went. Some kids, we like set goals, you know, some of those basic things I was talking about, like, did you take a walk 3 times this week? Did you talk to a friend? Like, it's just kind of holding them accountable to those like basic things. Mainly it's checking in. I have a lot of kids that just literally will come by and like grab a mint and tell me they've had a good week. And I think just that little touch point of knowing that somebody wants to know how you're doing is a big thing in school. That's an easy thing to do. So,
Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much, Ms. Hall.
Thank
you're
you.
welcome, girls.